Okay, cool. Thank you, Ma.
That's because we're Hip Hop Anonymouses from 2218 cutting pizzas. Where's my pizza cutter? There we go. We're live. So- All right. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Oh, you killed me.
Okay, hold on. Okay, go. Go.
Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. And I got to take my headphone out. Here's the deal. We're dealing with technical issues, and anyone who stayed through it, I'm going to just tell you I appreciate you for that, and thank you for bearing with us. I was posting a lot of things to try to keep people interacted and involved, but we got it figured out. Eric, he walked Elena through it, our producer. We moved podcast rooms, and that's just what comes with this, is figuring it out as we go. So, Tad's about to hop on mic, and he's going to get this show running. As he's running, we are live as can be.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to 2218's Attitude for Gratitude. Thanks for bearing with us. Sorry about all the technological difficulties. Happens with a live podcast and moving and resetting up. Thank you for bearing with us. Hopefully we'll have this crap all worked out. It's a beautiful Friday. We got some great guests here. Lulu, you want to say hi quick?
Hello, everyone. My name is Lulu.
Jason.
What up, Jason?
Jason, the OG from
Welcome back, Jason.
shows. Welcome back.
It's nice to be asked back. that rarely used to happen before.
Right.
Good
Right.
point. Good point.
And asked back like in such an esteemed manner. They're glad to have you back.
I know.
Yeah.
Please come back.
It's something different, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, Tim, how are you doing?
I'm the pizza master, bro.
Okay.
I'm the pizza master. Hello, everyone. They heard my spiel before you came and sat
Yeah,
down.
did you say 2218, all that stuff?
World's longest running Alano, bro.
Okay, so we got all that out of the way. I think, are you ready to debut your new segment right now?
Well, first, let's just get a few of those things out of the way that we do at the start, because I didn't get a lot of those things
Okay.
about smashing the like button, sharing with anyone you can think of who could use some recovery in their life, or just hear about this new way of living that we talk about every week on the show.
And if you think this show could help anyone,
Yes.
tell them. Tell your mom, tell your grandma, your neighbor, the guy down the street maybe if he's struggling with addiction. You never know what this show can do. And, this is an interactive show, so we have
Yes.
to be interactive. Be in those comment sections.
Yes.
And we have seen the power of those comment sections.
Yes.
Some people have gotten some real and genuine help in those comment sections. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Like I said, it's a beautiful Friday evening. I will not be here next Friday. I will be, watching WWE at the Target Center. Live with audiences. And,
Yes.
Not
Not social distance.
SmackDown, all that happy stuff with John Cena now.
Yes. After the fast shows.
The summer of Cena. So I'm excited.
Yes, and if you haven't listened to past shows, Tad is a uber wrestling fan.
Absolutely.
Aficionado is what we could call him.
Right.
Yeah, so, and you know what, not to go down that dark road, but just anyone who's listening, I did put a link to that suicide hotline. Please take advantage or reach out to one of us. Tad put his phone number down. I put my phone number down. You can find me on Facebook at Timothy J. Warren. Just friend request me and we can talk privately. You can reach out to either of us personally if you don't want your...
Ackerman, same deal. Friend request me.
And if you don't want your question public, just shoot us a text message personally. We'll read it and keep you anonymous. So,
Absolutely. Hey, so are we going to do that halfway through the show? We got a brand new segment for you that's going to be a couple minutes in the middle of the show called Tidbits with Timmy. So I hope you guys are excited. I want to share something real quick.
Get to it, bro.
About that SmackDown. You know how that came about? Because I now have a relationship with my father, my dad, Greg Ackerman. We went to a Twins game, and I was trying to make amends to him, and I was trying to pay for it all, but he ended up paying for everything. I did, however, get to buy my old man a beer. Not obviously, I'm in recovery, so I don't drink, but that's all he asked, so I did that, and it was cool. And as a result, he bought me SmackDown tickets, and he was going to buy me a better seat than what I got. But I asked him if if I could downgrade from the $200 ticket to two $60 tickets and bring my friend who loves wrestling too and just couldn't afford it because I was proud of him in recovery. So Pops did that. And that was pretty cool. That's something that never would have happened years
That
ago.
comes out of recovery.
Yeah.
And
he told me he's proud of me, and he said, also for my birthday, he wanted us to go do something, but we're going to do that still. And I was like, okay, cool. That's something that wouldn't have happened. And so I hit him up for the Twins game. I told him, I was like, look, man, and I was really trying hard to pay for his stuff because I gave him a man's in the spiel, and I was like, dude, you have paid for my tab 500 times. Let me pay for your tab once.
Right.
And I was like, in addition to paying for my tab, sent me out the door with like $100 too. So, how many times has that happened, Dad? And I don't know, he appreciated it, even though he still covered the tab, but I don't know, it's nice. I now have a relationship with both my parents and a real relationship, and that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for this being in recovery for my program and for the miracles of trying to do the next right thing.
And I think that goes just kind of hand in hand. This is the part of the show we're just kind of checking in, but that goes hand in hand, kind of like what Jason was saying. It's like nowadays in life, we're showing up for things that wasn't part of our story prior to recovery.
No.
Like, my story did not include an invitation back to a place I was once at.
Yeah,
You know what I
they're
mean?
begging me to come back.
Without there being some type of police escort or something like that. Tim, get your shit out. The cops are here.
Next time you come back with conditions.
Yes.
Coming back.
That's like my story nowadays. Like, people look forward to seeing me, and it's for a while I had to learn how to accept that. It was such a foreign feeling. So when someone's telling me they're glad to see me, it's a new concept in a way, and to show up for family, like,
freaking beautiful, dude.
Yeah, I don't take it for granted.
No, you're a real big family guy. You're
100%.
Yeah, you're into that, and you've kind of instilled that for the first couple of years, I put this place and my program above everything else because I felt I had to.
But in lieu of this place, what happened? Your sister? I mean, come on, because of this place,
I got a relationship.
There
with
you
my
go.
sister, and
it all falls like
now. I still do. My recovery still does come first, but now I'm starting to focus on friendships, families.
It's kind of that whole thing I look at. Like, we start getting into recovery, and I've talked to a few newcomers about it because that first year recovery for me looked like this: recovery,
right?
Because I needed it. I mean. I had a sponsor that didn't tell me 99. He said, you go to the meetings when you're able to and when you need them.
Right.
So, which meant every day, if not twice a day, if not 3 times. But I was financially able to. I was fortunate enough to have rides and figure it out. But at the end of the day, it's like, then life starts happening. Jobs, then you have to start juggling, making boundaries, making plans. Okay, only Tuesday and Thursdays I can go to meetings because now I have work. But that's just like this. It was all 2218. Then family get to start incorporating
it all bridged
shit.
out. And so I was feeling guilty. I think I was on the phone with someone, called them to offer them help, and I was feeling guilty and feeling the call back because if you don't know, I've stepped back from everything other than this show and then my commitment to the board. But I was feeling the call back. But and this person, really wise, smart lady, she told me, I'm talking about Lulu, by the way. She told me, you deserve that. If you want to go out and have fun for the summer, check out other meetings, go do you for a minute. You deserve that. You deserve a little happiness, Dad. Just come fall, though, your ass is mine. You better be here. That's what she was joking, but
I did definitely say that, and I was definitely not joking.
But that's the part, for me at least, that's how my story looked. It had to be recovery. It had to be something that was set in stone. I had to have a schedule, but then we grow.
I'm pretty sure Jason went hard in the paint until he had a family.
Well, what I focused on early in recovery, and the guy that I looked up to for help. I mean, he made it clear that my focus should be on God and the steps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I've tried doing this before. I've been in and out of different clubs and meetings since I've been about 14 years old. And once I did that, my life hasn't been the same since. Legit.
For the better, right?
Oh, it's like night and day.
How long have you been clean now?
I don't know. 15 years.
15 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's been in my life for just about 13 years.
Right. The last time some audience members that are now new members to our listening ship don't maybe didn't hear that show because that was in one of our first 5 shows that he and Rusty were on. But you guys told me a story about, I think you were all spun out or something, and he came and saw you at Taco Bell, or there was
Oh, at
this,
my
and he
work.
took you to a movie. It was like this
Yeah,
part,
I
like
remember that.
recovery gets to
Yeah.
do things for us, and he showed up in Tad's life at a time that, I mean, Tad still went back out
That
after,
was our
but
second time around, go around.
it was pivotal.
I'm not sure, but I know you look like death was close, man. You look like death was very close.
I'm glad you didn't see me this last time.
I do remember trying to get some food in you too, because you needed some food.
Oh,
I think
he-
that's where
he-
Taco Bell came into play.
No, he
something.
fucking fed me like 5 times in like a 6-hour period. At the movie theater, we stopped. Like he picked me up. He made me eat. Then we went to Walmart. Then he made me eat. Then we went to we stopped to get something else. Then we ate at the movie theater. Like, I'm not shitting you. We went to Walmart. He bought me something there. And then on the way home, he made me eat again. I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah, it was concerning. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, let's chop it up. So I don't know what do you guys want to talk about? What's up, guys?
Whatever you want to talk about.
Lulu, what do you got in the way of what's going on with Lulu?
So I don't really have a specific topic in mind, but I can definitely talk about some stuff that's going on with me if you want that.
Yeah.
So at the end of this month, I'm coming up on 2 years sober.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
2 years.
Yes. 2
Okay.
years.
Yes.
And somebody had told me back when I first got sober, I believe it was at this club that they told me this. They said, when you hit huge milestones, things are going to get rough. A lot of challenges are going to happen. It's kind of like a lot of tests are going to happen. And every milestone that I've hit so far, that has definitely been true. I have been in a month-long funk.
Now, quick, I have something that might throw you off. Do you think if someone didn't tell you that this would be happening?
I think it definitely would, because a lot of this is actually like outside things going on in my life, and they just happen to spiral
Right.
one thing after another. And I'm aware at this point that there's a lesson out of every one of these situations. I just have to find it. My recovery has been kind of waves. Like, things are really hard, and then things will be really good for a while, But I also think that that's how life is in general, and I'm
Right.
just experiencing it sober,
So, like, what's been the constant through these roller coasters up and down? Like, when you're at that high point and that low point, what have you found that's gotten you through it and kept you sober?
So when things get hard, I definitely recenter myself into, I have a home group here at the club at 2218. I've been getting involved more with service work than I ever have to get outside of myself. A lot of it is just I can't sit in my head, and I'm one of those people that I will let things overwhelm me into the ground, man. And
I have a question.
yes.
So now that you gave us some context and stuff has been going a little whatever in the wave of whatever's going on right now, is that why you got more involved in the home group, or was that just a coincidence?
I think it's both. I think that how things. Please excuse
Oh, yeah,
that.
you guys, let's make sure we silence our phones.
Yeah, Tad's phones are ringing.
Yeah.
Shit, I better turn mine's not on silent either. I'm just not that popular. Sorry, so go ahead. You were talking about you had that home group and
Yep.
you've been getting involved more. And is that in lieu of you feeling this funk, or?
So I think it's kind of both ways. I think I was ready to start taking more of initiative in a group I've been going to for over a year, but then also things were kind of opening up at the same time and allowing me to actually step up. There was there was a service commitment available. Spur of the moment, I accepted it, and I've been holding that secretary position for probably 4 months now, and that really keeps me, I have to show up every week at this point. I can't make excuses anymore, and it's also helped me. I shared my story for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I don't think that would be anything that I would be willing to do had I not be holding, some sort of position in this group. I would be too shy.
Right on. That's all some really good stuff. One of the neatest things that I've been able to experience, and since I've been sober and got well, was my sobriety hasn't been puppy dogs and butterflies either. No, not at all. However, if I didn't learn the tools that I did early on to deal with, I mean, things that used to just eat my lunch, like fear, resentment, those two things
Right.
mainly. Like I would go nuts. And there's been times where I've been in my own head too. And it seems like when all else fails, working with a new person, there ain't nothing like it.
Right.
I mean, it's like uncut dope. It's
I love it.
really, I mean, it works fantastic.
Is it only a newcomer, or is it just working with someone else?
I would say, for me,
All right, I
anyway,
understand the uncut dope part with a newcomer, but like just regular dope would be someone.
I would say for me, what it is someone who is desperate
Okay.
early on in recovery, and the critical factor hasn't come up in the mind yet where they know everything and they're pretty much unteachable. Because then you can connect with them and you get an opportunity to speak a little bit of truth in their life to give them some hope, stuff like that, and set them on the right path and get them moving. Like, my problems today are literally luxury problems.
I had a
You know what
friend
I
say
mean?
like high class problems.
Yeah,
type
and
deal,
that's
yeah.
nice. Like, I remember problems that I used to have were like, where am I going to sleep tonight? You know what I mean? How am I going to stay warm tonight?
Right, like real problems.
And food. Yeah, when I was hungry at the time and able to eat. But I have found that, every problem either stems directly or indirectly from me. I'm either completely self-centered to the core or selfish to the core. And prior to early on in recovery, actually committing to the process of recovery, gotten the steps, I never gave any thought of anybody else whatsoever.
Right.
But when I went through that process, I started having these foreign thoughts occur within me, like the well-being of others, for example.
Foreign thoughts. Yeah.
And it was shocking when that stuff occurred.
What the point of view, like realizing shit, I'm worried about someone else besides myself.
Well, I thought of others, but mainly it was, what could they do for me?
Oh,
that type of
okay,
stuff.
I see what
It
you're
was
saying.
always self-centered.
Right.
Always
Bondage of
self-centered.
self type
Yeah.
deal.
What are they thinking of me? What do they think of me? You know what I mean? Hopefully it's something good,
Right.
bad, whatever. But their general. All I know is, the way I used to be, the way I used to feel and think. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that. Well, it's kind of an old movie now, but Lord of the Rings. There's this creature
yeah.
Gollum in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
How that dude looks. That's how I felt and perceived myself on the inside. Completely nuts. I only wanted my precious.
I was gonna reference Precious, but okay, yeah.
But I don't know I don't remember where I was going with this. Oh yeah, the contrast from the way I am now compared to the way I used to be. Like, I don't mean this from any type of arrogance or anything like it, but there's no one else I'd rather be today but me. And before, the way I used to, like, I wanted to be anybody but me. Before,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's only because of God in the steps, and I can't stress that enough.
I was gonna ask that. Like, at what point do you know when that pivotal point was? Like 6 months, 2 years, and was it because you found a higher power
The
or
only-
realized it, or?
The only factor that time played into it was my willingness to take action and stuff that I didn't want to do.
Right.
And so me completing that process where the part of me that resisted it just got squeezed out by taking these actions that seemed threatening. So
Oh.
So also with you, I'm gonna kind of rewind to what you were saying initially with getting outside yourself. You mentioned working with others. Now I know there's so many different facets of that, and you talking about someone who's teachable or unteachable, whatever have you. Was it more or less you would start working with a newcomer and realize that the shit that was on your plate just wasn't the problem anymore, or it didn't seem to be as big of a problem?
well, what gets me today is fear. You know what I mean?
Right.
My perceived fear of the future. Because I want to try to control things and that sort of thing. And when that happens, fear sets in as a byproduct. And what can happen if I don't see it for what it is the stuff doesn't play out the way I want when I'm trying to control things, I'll turn these fears into resentments and blame you for my problems. You know what I mean?
Why am I getting looked at directly?
I just happen to be looking at you,
I
Tad.
know.
and
As a
you
bondage
looked up at
yourself.
me.
I feel
about you.
attacked, Jason.
It wasn't about you.
Lulu was looking at me too, side-eyeing me. So was Elena, I think.
But like fear, I mean, you're talking about fear, and
Yes.
a lot of things we put expectations on things. All right, so then we start worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. Like you're in fear of things that haven't even happened yet.
One of the problems that fear does to an individual is they can't. I mean, you can't see clearly whatsoever. I mean, it's distorted because of the emotion, and there's just almost complete lack of reason, and sometimes complete common sense. And I'm just reacting to situations.
Well, and I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. As I know it might not be one of your guys' topics, but fear. Now, when I came into the program, I remember people talked about fears being such, like that was one of the biggest hiccups I was going to deal with. And at the time, I didn't realize how many fears I had in my life. I hear the word fear and I think, okay, like Nightmare on Elm Street. It's scary, scared, like a scared movie. Not fear of like the unknown, like things of that nature. And it took me a while for a lot of that to come into play. So my question to both you, and Lulu, I'm gonna kick it to you first, is like,
Kick it.
what during early recovery or even now, because I know we shared a little bit outside about, you know, you've had a couple of days off and like you're finding yourself isolating or what have you, like the fear that's involved with getting outside yourself, or what are the fears that you're still dealing with at this point in recovery? Because I know it's that for me at least, fears plays a big part in my story today, even with recovery. How is that in your life?
Yeah, so I think fear definitely plays a part in my recovery today too. I think the fears have just shifted of what they are. So one of my biggest fears that I deal with a lot lately is fear of losing everything I've gained in this recovery, or fear, I've been having some money issues the last few months. Like I just fear I'm going to lose my house and I'm going to be back on the streets, because that was a part of my story several times. So sometimes, I just let it consume me to where I'm kind of going through my days panicking until my bills are paid. You know what I mean? And it's something I still struggle with. It's probably one of my biggest triggers is like fear.
Does that become your answer too? Is like, okay, bills are paid and fear's gone? Or do you guys share about it? How do you deal with that?
I definitely share with people I'm close to. My mom's heard about it a million times.
Speaking of that, thanks for supporting the show, Mama.
Yeah, my mom's watching
Hi,
right
Lulu's
now.
mom.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I share with people that I'm close to. I have a good support system in this recovery. I haven't found the answer yet as to how to stop panicking every month, though.
Like, do you realize sometimes, though, it is of things that even haven't happened yet? Like, have you realized sometimes you're worrying about things that haven't happened yet
Yep.
and might not happen?
Yep, that's happening to me a lot, too. Yeah, that one kind of hits home too. And the reason that the living situation keeps coming up is because there's some stressors going on in my living situation with the landlord and the building itself and stuff like that. And there's really nothing today that says that I'm going to lose my place to live. But there's what ifs dealing with all of this.
Fears,
that
yeah.
has
Fear of the
made-
unknown.
Yes, and I've been kind of living in this fear on and off for at least 4 or 5 months now. What if he chooses this? He moved in these people downstairs that I don't agree with. What if? And now,
Right.
it's really consuming sometimes.
I understand that fully. So, like, and thank you for sharing about that. So, what about for you, Jason? Like, is fear still part of your story today?
Oh yeah. Especially when I get into self.
Ah,
I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's to me, I can always trace it back to self. Always. I mean, there hasn't been a situation in my life where I haven't been able to trace it back to self.
then you kind of just shared about that too. You said every problem you realize it starts with me.
And here's the thing: the longer you're sober, too, what I have found, I mean, there's fears that pop up, and I'm like, what was that about? And it just doesn't make sense,
Right.
Like I don't like to just move on and do the next best thing. You know what I mean? Or a lot of these slogans or quotes that mean that sometimes they don't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like I just need to let go or let God or surrender, turn over my will again. Stuff like this. It just, I don't know. I like that.
Or have you inventoried that?
Yeah, I mean that's another one. But there's a little bit of truth.
No,
with
I know.
That one,
That was a shot at you. That was
No,
a shot
but,
at you.
and talk about that. Like, serious. And
That was all he
But
used
here,
to say
check
to
this.
me.
I want to
Yeah,
say
and
this
you hear it,
first
you get it
before
from him
this
all the time,
Loses
shit,
my
like-
mind. But like I'll be going through life doing my thing, and then all of a sudden, like something will pop up, and I'm like, "What was that about?" You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
I
I get
love this.
triggered by something.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then it's just bizarre, and I don't know why I reacted this way to the situation, but I don't know this until after I react.
We
And I
have-
think my reaction is bizarre.
Jason,
But
we had to do this last week with my shit.
yeah, I mean, always.
You,
This
you,
is
you
one of
had
the-
to point out that, like, some past, not just recent, this was past shit. Like, from my wife and stuff that you knew about me that was probably triggering it. And then I had to go back.
Well, I had some hunches, but I don't know because I'm not God.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
here's the thing. But I know that if you sit with God, and you have an honest desire to, take corrective measures with things, things will be revealed. You know what I mean? But I always like to ask this: is there something in the past that I haven't dealt with yet? Is there something I haven't brought to the light? Is there something
like doing a
where
proper 4 and 5? Like, a lot of those
well,
things maybe
maybe
you didn't bring up? Is
secrets?
that
I mean,
secrets that
Or
weren't
we
brought
forget
up?
stuff. We forget stuff.
Exactly.
There's stuff that, and trauma gets buried.
Right? No, you
That's
brought
a-
that up on earlier shows about
So-
some trauma.
Yeah, so stuff gets buried, and like, so we skim the top layer off, and other
mind-
shit brings up.
Because of the emotional pain, it is only natural for the mind to try to not remember things.
The mind's trying to protect you, but it doesn't know that you can't move on. It's crazy.
But I mean, the amends part of this process. I mean, before you make an amends, it's important to know what the problem is before you try and solve it.
Right. Well,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
It's gonna cause, you can cause some major damage if you go about it without knowing.
However, once it's completed, the process is complete in whatever form it takes, it's no longer an issue. You can recall it, and it doesn't have that emotional baggage whatsoever. Nothing is affected, and I get more clarity, no more triggers. I do want to say this about fear, though, too, and I heard this a long time ago, and it's in reference to this recovery process that we participate in to get well. Fears like this: I'm trusting in myself instead of trusting in God, right? Mm-hmm. I'm trusting in myself, and I have every right to be afraid if I'm trusting myself based on my past experiences with me trying to, fix things. But let's say we're at the circus, right? And we're watching the dude up on the high wire. I have all the faith in the world that this guy can push the wheelbarrow back and forth across that high wire with no problem. Lack of faith is not a problem. I've sponsored some men with tremendous amount of faith and theoretical knowledge that I would say is beyond me. But the problem is trust. You know what I mean? If I trusted that dude, I'd get up in the wheelbarrow. There's a difference between faith and trust. Faith, I can sit and intellectualize things all I want. But if I trust certain things, like if I know the process works, my actions will be different.
Yeah, and that's two
And there-
total different ends of the spectrum, too,
Yeah.
what you're explaining.
And the thing about taking actions have an effect on perception, all right? My behavior and my actions have an effect on me and how I see the world around me. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
starts inside. It just shows up out here, all right? But my perception also has an effect on my actions, and usually people end up in this selfish, self-centered, spiraling descent into hell. You know what I mean? However, God does need to intervene in this process, and I got to do things contrary to my will, which actually free me, And that's
You
where
brought
it's
up
at.
God quite a few times now, and
'Cause that's where it's at,
And
man.
that's what I'm gonna I want to open the door on that is and with Lulu, have you found a higher power in your recovery yet, or what does higher power mean to you? How is it playing a role in your recovery?
So higher power
That was a
is-
2-part question, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think if I had to pick the most difficult topic of recovery for me to talk about, it's definitely higher power. There was a point in my life where I had a very strong faith in my higher power, and everything was just different, and I was like showered in all of like this calmness and peace and stuff, and like I think it was my last run out when I was using, and like I'm trying to get over some resentments with my higher power that for some reason I just blame him for some stuff, and just some stuff that has happened that I don't understand. So higher power is definitely something that I have to work on a little better. I'm trying to find like what outlets I have to connect me more with my higher power, because it's a very personal thing to me. Like going to church is not my thing. So I just have to find like my own personal spiritual ways to connect. And I think
Today, you mean
yes.
like right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, like on a daily basis. So, and yeah, because I think my higher power is just something that I've came to believe with myself. It's not something that was taught to me.
Right. Yeah. So you're still in the midst of figuring and grasping.
And that's okay.
Yeah, 100%. You're still here.
Yeah.
I mean, some people use that as a roadblock in their recovery.
Well, and I don't know if I used to. So I've always believed in my higher power. I've just gone through phases where I don't know how to word this. Jason knows, where I've chosen to damn myself or something, some dramatic tad shit. And that's how I know they all love me, because they laughed. Because they get
Because
it.
some of us know exactly what dramatic tad shit means.
Right. So, like, I'm not good enough, eternally unique, some dramatic tad shit, like I said. So, I've gone through phases of that, but I've always believed in a higher power, but no one could tell me. And, like, the more people try to tell me, the more it wasn't, except Jason. Jason could talk to me about God all day, and I listened, because for some reason,
You told me he
second
says
time-
it. Yeah.
I don't know the first time. I don't remember a lot about that. Except I was just trying not to go to prison the first time. He was my sponsor. Being honestly,
That's what I was doing.
I stayed sober for 3 months before I went to prison, in spite Jason. So I stayed sober for like a good 9 months despite Jason. But the minute I got out of prison, you can all guess what I did 15 minutes later. So failed 19 of 20 UAs in a 25-day period. But at any rate, like, except Jason, like, Jason can talk to me about God when I wasn't in a place I was willing to talk to God about, but because I knew his intentions for whatever,
Pure.
I felt love.
Right.
Here's the thing about God. Our problem is not lack of faith. Our problem is not lack of a concept. I mean, it's none of these things. I mean, because if our problem is lack of a concept, we'd get the proper literature, obtain a concept of God, and everything would be just fine, right? See, our problem is we've become disconnected from God, And in the summary of the 12th step that we usually see on the walls at different meetings and clubs and stuff like that, it talks about having had a spiritual awakening, and all that really is connecting with God, having a spiritual experience, connecting with God. And the reason why I know this and have come to this conclusion is not just because of my own experience, me, that contrast between what I was like before, my experience with God and my experiences with God throughout recovery and what I'm like now, is also watching other people in recovery and other
Right.
people that I've worked with too.
Right.
In particular, there was this one time I was working with this guy who was a pastor. And that was an interesting experience. I mean, this guy had a tremendous amount of faith and theoretical knowledge of God that is even still beyond me today. This guy couldn't stay sober, and I was just perplexed by that for the longest time. He stayed sober for about 6 months. He relapsed, disappeared for a few years, showed back up. He was missing a little bit of teeth. At this time, he was no longer smoking crack, but he was blasting heroin. And then he disappeared for a while again. He showed up 2 years ago. I mean, he was barely had any resemblance of a human at this point, and he was looking more like a creature. Exactly.
Yeah. Gollum.
This dude was actually physically looking like that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That creature out that movie. And now he's disappeared again. I hope the best for him. But anyway, for the longest time, I was just perplexed by it. Like, why couldn't this guy stay sober? This guy prayed more than I did in one day, and then more than I did in months, right? I mean, in my mind, too, that this guy had a leg up on me,
Right.
And this just, to me, this just proves that the problem is not lack of a concept, you know? And I've met some people in recovery, for example, that push religion and Jesus, for example, and that's always rubbed me the wrong way. And this
It could
guy,
push away. It could do damage.
it can, because people
Definitely.
attack other people with that stuff, and it's not really
100%.
helpful.
Uh-huh.
But this dude was like one of them dudes. He claimed, gave lip service to the Jesus.
With the needle hanging out of his arm.
But yeah, here was the problem. I can have a tremendous, imagine this scenario, right? Let's just say we're out over by the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam creates this large body of fresh water, called Lake Mead or something like this. I heard this story from someone else, and to me, it finally connected the dots, so I want to share it.
Okay.
Let's say we all were out there, out in the middle of the summer, in the desert, and it gets like 115 plus, 120 degrees. We would succumb to the elements and eventually die out there, wandering around, trying to get revitalized and refreshed by the water, right? Unless, let's say we all went to the water and we saw the water. We all knew beyond a shadow of the doubt that the water was real, right? It doesn't matter out there in the middle of the desert. We need to have access to the water. So we need a map and a compass, and we need to be able to get our bearings to get back to the water, bathe in it, drink it, get revitalized and refreshed, and then we could go back out and do our thing, with a lot more strength and a lot more energy. And it's kind of like that, My problem is not lack of a concept. It's not. After you have an experience with, the need for the concept often leaves.
It's a good way of putting it. It really is. It's for a guy like me, it's a little bit of it was a little bit of a step for me to follow, because I've made this real clear on the show. I understand I need a higher power to, for this recovery thing to work. Whether I'm wholeheartedly on what that higher power is yet might still be up in the air 4 years later. But I'm going to tell you this is like, and I use these words, and I need to figure out a better way of explaining it, but I won't put a roadblock in front of my recovery. That's how bad I want this. Whether I believe there's a Jesus Christ, or there's a Satan, or there's a Buddha, whatever the case is, my sponsor worked with me really well to explain about having, a power greater than myself, and make peace with who my creator is, and whatever I believe that is. It's what I needed to stay clean, what I needed to stay sober, and it's worked today. It's worked till this day, this very day. So when that becomes a point of me needing to know that, then that's when I'll do some more work, or work with someone else, or get to trying to figure out a different answer. But at this point in time, for me personally, I've found a peace with what is. But see, we still run into life.
Right. Life still.
I was so far from spiritually fit earlier today that I had what you would call an emotional relapse. Like, I didn't pick back up, but I did some shit that I did while using that. I don't want to be that person anymore.
A week and a half ago, when I was angry, and I called Jason, and I told him I was scared, and he's like, "Well, I get that. That's why you called me." But we did a quick little kind of on the phone inventory. Then I went back and did an inventory. But something that became uncovered, that since my friend died, and then I got hit by a car a week later. But since my friend died, I didn't pray. I quit. I cut my. What did I say, Jason? I said something along the lines.
Were you
of,
blaming a higher power for a lot of this stuff?
No, but what did I say? I cut myself off from my contact with God.
I'm not exactly sure, but it was obvious to me that you stopped doing important spiritual exercises in order to space.
I went
spiritual
fucking
fit.
insane. Within 2 weeks of this, I was insane. I had acted in ways I thought I couldn't act unless there was methamphetamine or alcohol inside of me.
And that can be dangerous.
Swear to God, I did shit that I have never done sober, and I was going crazy. And the next day after me and Jason, we met, we came, I talked to Rick, I talked to some people, I inventoried, I prayed. Even to the point Jason's native and I'm native, I told instead of me praying, I told my mom to smudge for him and put tobacco out for him. I didn't ask her.
That's a native ritual, right?
Yep. Yeah. So Jason suggested I did that, and I did that. But I went for a walk and I cried and I talked to God and I cried for 2 hours, and I was exhausted by the time I got up here and met with them. And but But, the next day I was talking to an old timer, and he's like, God will do this to you to make you grow. You needed to do that. You needed to see that you could still be insane. That to be reminded that it wasn't the meth, it wasn't the alcohol, it's you.
It was you.
There's a spiritual problem in you, and then you cut yourself off from God, and where do you go? Back to you and your shit. And so I needed that to grow, and I don't know, it scared the hell out of me. Obviously, Jason knew that. I didn't.
Well,
and,
I've had similar experiences in my recovery. You
and
know?
like so,
Where you just go off.
right? So
And it's
what-
like, what was that about?
Where'd that come from? Yeah.
Life still happens. I still get angry, but what I can tell you is like, so Timmy was concerned because I was passionately speaking, and he's like, I don't like to see it, but you know what? Within 2 seconds, I was able to smile, and we were able to joke, and
I kept trying to change the subject with every inch of the
and I'm like,
conversation.
Tim, this is where I get to do this.
Hands
with
are
you.
slamming on tables.
Oh yeah,
and-
yeah. I'm getting all fired up talking about some stuff, and I'm like, this is where I get to do this. It's safe with you.
You know,
But I'm free, and like I'm lighter now.
Right. You got that out.
here's the thing. I mean, I've tried to make this as simple as possible for me, and it has been made as simple as possible for us too. The problem is selfishness and self-centeredness. That is the problem.
Self-seeking, all
when
themselves.
Self-centered is like a state of mind. If I'm thinking about myself, automatically some of the byproducts of that is I start to experience fear, or I'm thinking about stuff in the past. I'm experiencing resentment, guilt, grudge,
Yeah.
whatever. But when I take the selfish actions, I start to have that effect on my psyche, and my worldview, my perception starts
Absolutely.
to get very bad. However, here's the thing. I can't just move on and do the next right thing. If I have selfish actions and they have an effect on people around me, especially myself, I need to make corrective measures.
Right.
And what that looks like is if I affect someone else, especially in a negative way or harm them, I need to own that. I need to confess that to them. And I need to right that wrong, however that is. Sometimes it is as simple as a verbal apology, like, hey, man, that was a dick move of me when I said this and I pointed at you.
Right.
Will you please forgive me?
Right. Circumstances will dictate the
Yeah,
situation.
but here's the thing. If I can, so here's the opposite. Here is the opposite of selfishness.
You know that's the lady, right?
What?
That I pointed at and said that stuff to.
No, I don't. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Oh, that really happened. Anyways.
Well,
Finish your point. I want to hear that. Yeah.
because I do really want to make this as simple as possible. So
Yeah.
here's the black end, right? If
Yes.
we're going to attach it.
I want
to
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the light end. It's love, all right? And I'm not talking about a feeling, all right? I'm not talking about a feeling. What I'm talking about, the thing about love is well, its nature is to give instead of take.
Oh yes, I wanted to talk about this.
He's talking about it. We're gonna get to
Yeah,
it.
well, here, it's so important. And the thing about there can't be. I can't give to get. There can't be a hook in it.
No.
right?
Yeah.
And it's-
You're getting there. Like you're getting. Come on.
Yeah,
Come
at
on.
first, it's something that's unnatural and seems threatening, and sometimes needs to be forced, right?
Yeah.
But when it becomes real and it starts to have a change on an individual, is where it becomes unconscious and it becomes my new nature. All right.
Yeah, without-
and the old
yes,
nature, my
yeah.
selfish nature, and that starts to die off.
That making a checklist. Well, I did this, so now he owes me that, or I'm gonna go volunteer,
And the
so other
nature of
people.
being selfish is to
The
take.
Yeah. Well, it's just like this, man. The nature of fire is hot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Well,
nature of
that-
selfishness.
And this is
Okay.
part of. Well, where's that noise all about? Some whatever. So this is kind of about you were. I didn't want to cut you off to talk about it, but earlier you brought up that something will happen and a reaction will occur and you won't notice it until after the fact.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
now. You're talking about this change, like let's
Yep.
say a psychological change. You
Well,
know,
here, you
until-
want me to give you an example?
Yes.
All right.
That's
check this
I'm
out.
getting at.
This, here's a real subtle one that seems pretty ridiculous, but subtle ones. I mean, you got to pay attention to these subtle
Yep.
things. All right. This was, I mean, man, this was like 14 and a half years ago, but I remember this experience like it was yesterday. Me and my wife, recently got married. We're at her family shindig for Thanksgiving, right? And she's got a big family, and most of her family's all women too. And I'm trying to eat, and I'm sitting. They get like this big lobby of the hotel, and because nobody's house can fit everybody in it.
It's
right?
that big, that many people, huh?
Yeah, and her whole family gets together, and that's the way they did things. And Deb's aunt is sitting at the head of the table at the end. And back at that time, I was in the trades. I did a lot of construction. I did masonry, right? And it was the fall, Thanksgiving. Stuff was dying down. I just got a house. This was back in like 2007, back when that market peaked out at that time. And Deb's aunt asked me just a simple question because I'm new to the family and they want to get to know me, right? And she asked me, Jason, what are you gonna do once winter comes around? And what I've always done in the past was, well, I just sign up for unemployment because what I do is kind of seasonal, so I just collect unemployment. But I didn't. To this day, I don't remember what I said to this woman. But I do know that I just reacted to this woman. And basically what I communicated to her non-verbally, and 97% of all communication is pretty much non-verbal or some crap like that.
Just like that?
Yeah. And I basically said to her, shut up. You know what I mean? Don't ask me this stuff.
Oh my God.
And
Like,
and I was-
consciously?
no, I just reacted.
Okay.
And then
Second
I
nature.
was like, what is going on here? This is kind of bizarre. Right? And I noticed that. And so I inventoried it, right?
Yeah.
I started to look at it. And it was obvious. So I'm asking myself some questions. It's important to ask yourself questions. And the right questions. Sometimes it's important to ask multiple questions to you get like an aha type of thing.
Right.
And what I saw was, prior to, well, here let me tell you like this. When Deb and I got married, Deb comes from a missionary family, right? Like she grew up on the other side of the earth in India.
Okay.
All right. And her dad is this big 6'5", 260 foot or 260 pound
Yeah.
German dude from
All right.
Germany, right? And what he likes to do for fun is make bullets.
Okay. Hi, father-in-law.
Yeah. But anyway, knowing this stuff and I'm trying to change my life and live differently, I figured it'd be important before I asked Deb if she wanted to get married to talk to her dad first, right?
Right.
I just figured it was an honorable thing to do and stuff like that.
Did he have a bullet with your name on it?
No, but here's the thing. We had some coffee, and the only thing that this guy wanted to talk about was money. That's it. Like
Money, like how much you make or how you going to keep my daughter
well, here,
financially
check this
secure?
out. I'm petrified, right? Prior to going to talk to this guy, I'm thinking I got 3 felonies, right?
Yep.
I can't play with bullets and play with guns and that kind of stuff, right? And I'm thinking I've only been sober too for like less than a year, maybe like 9 months tops, right? And I'm figuring that we're gonna talk about some stuff. This guy's kind of a quiet guy too. Like he likes to sit back and watch, and I think he was doing that to me for some time. I mean, I would if some guy was
Dating
my
his daughter, yeah.
Some dirty drug addict.
And I
with all
think the
these
only
felonies.
thing that concerned this dude, well,
Is that what it was, financially secure?
well, the only thing that concerned this dude was how I handled my money.
Oh.
And he wanted to make sure that his daughter was taken care
Okay.
of. I mean, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So
true that.
yeah, that's all he wanted to talk about was money, and I thought that was weird. So I left that conversation now like this dude, right, thinks something with me and money is wrong, and you can imagine where my mind goes with this, right? Now fast forward to Thanksgiving, Deb's aunt asked me that question. I got this self-centered fear now with Mike, so I'm realizing this stuff. Mike, I had this fear of looking bad in front of Mike, right?
Oh.
And here's what happened. After I reacted that way to Deb's aunt, I looked bad in front of the entire family.
In front of everyone, yes.
So, Easter rolls around. I got this going on for a while now. I realized this. I haven't taken any corrective measures yet except for coming to awareness of it.
Okay.
Easter is awkward
You think?
around this lady. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I finally, it was, we got together for another event, and for Deb's family, and I got a chance to talk to her in her kitchen, and I said, "Hey, Ann, that was her name.
Auntie
You got a
Ann?
minute? I want to talk to you about something." And I brought up, I started to bring it up, and she played dumb, like she didn't know what I was talking about, right?
She
And some
knew.
people get uncomfortable in these type
Yeah,
of situations.
who wants to have that hard conversation?
So I just said, I continued on with it, even though she played dumb. I said, look, when I reacted that way, it was wrong. And I just want you to know that it had nothing to do with you. And I told her the story about me and Mike. You know what I mean? And I asked her if she would forgive me for that. That's how I handled that situation. And she knew what I was talking about, right? And it went phenomenal. From that situation on, the connection that I've had with that lady is phenomenal, right? There's been no awkwardness whatsoever.
Are you guys best buds now?
Kinda.
That's what's up.
But to bring
But
it
check
back to
this
what I
out.
was asking you, is this no? Okay, so you did this thing that was just second nature. Is it
But
from
this-
the trial and error of having to make that that amends in a way that starts changing? That you're not second naturally telling people, "Oh, shut the hell up," or you know what I mean?
It is. Because I can't just not do this anymore and do the next right thing.
Yeah, that's
Just let go and let God or some crap like that.
you got.
You
Yeah,
got to man up.
yeah.
You got to man up.
You can't just let it go to the wayside.
What was your next point you were gonna say?
I don't remember now.
Okay.
But here's the thing too. And it's not because I'm awesome that I was able to fix this or not.
You
I mean,
are
if
awesome.
if I could fix me, I would have never ended up in recovery. But here's the thing. It's God that reveals
Yeah.
this stuff to you. You know what I mean? And it's God that holds you accountable until you take that loving action.
Every dime must be paid.
Exactly.
I
'Cause
always hear that shit
there-
when I don't want to make amends.
Here's
Thanks to you.
here's how I look at there's an remember I talked about love takes or
Yeah.
love gives,
Love gives.
selfishness takes.
Yep.
Anytime you interact with an individual, there's an exchange that takes place, right? And that's why I bring up every dime must be paid. And unless every dime gets paid back, if I take, I'm in debt to Tad until I pay him back.
Well,
right?
that
And then I will not be released from my debt until every dime every penny gets paid.
And for people like us, we can't hold that.
Well, no, I have a friend. We have a friend who was on the show earlier. We do have a
this
couple
out.
questions. Go
wanna-
ahead. No, go ahead.
I want to drop this quick. And because of that, there's no statute of limitations on the subconscious.
No.
All right. That stuff will eat your lunch, whether you're aware of it or not.
That's like Tad brought up earlier, like things that you may have buried and not realized.
Yes.
That's why all of a sudden you're having a reaction to something.
Yes.
When you're talking about every dime must be paid, we think about back when we're out running and gunning. A friend who was on the show, one of our earlier podcasts, said it is like he has amends. There, how do you make an amends to a city you were driving through and threw dirty needles out the window?
yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's something.
Well, what I
you know,
did was I went through the towns, I did that
It's-
kind of stuff, and as I cleaned up the crap.
There you
right?
go.
And some money that I've stolen that I couldn't pay back, I did pay back indirectly with inflation on top of it to make sure
Right.
that every penny was paid back. Then I got free.
That's and people.
Same
I
type of
believe.
stuff. And I pay
Yeah.
attention to what's going on inside it because I'm kind of an introvert by nature. all
Okay.
right? So my world that I pay attention to is often internal. So,
When you need to be in tune with yourself.
Well,
like
it's
you're
just-
the only one.
it's just the kind of way introverts are.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like you said, you're paying back with inflation. You are the only one who's going to know what's going to satisfy self. And satisfy is not a good word, but
Well,
you
let
got
me put it
these
like
living
this.
amends or financial amends.
I'm camping at a park right now in Princeton. I got this ice house, and I almost forgot about this gig here tonight. And then I freaked out, called Tad, found out it wasn't until 9 o'clock, and it was like a sigh of relief. But I was having a good time down
You're in the
there
middle
with
of
my-
camping and you came to do the show?
Yeah, I
Thank
was
you.
having a good time with my wife and kids, and my parents showed up, and we were having a blast. And I had my phone on silent, so my alarm did not let me know, and I freaked out all of a sudden when it came to me.
That was you freaked out.
yeah.
What
that
was he
me
like?
freaked
Oh my
out.
gosh, I missed the show. I'm on my
But
way.
anyway, this park that I'm camping at, you got to pay to be there. And I remember as a kid going to this park and fishing the money out of the money box with 2 sticks and envelopes. You know what I mean? Doing this thing. Well, I had to pay that back once I started the recovery process, right? I wouldn't be able to go there unless I did make an amends for that. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's
You
kind
feel
of
guilty and you
yeah.
correct your time.
That's
Guilt.
only self
You-
knows that.
Yeah, you will not be released from the guilt until that debt's paid.
This man, hey, this knowledge
So,
here.
We're gonna shift gears.
We got to shoot it to Lulu over there being all noisy on us.
We'll get there. I'm gonna ask the question to her first. You said a couple. Was there any besides Matt's question?
I've got. Go ahead with that. I have one that someone personally messaged
Oh,
me.
okay. Mr. Popular over there. So, Mr. Matt, you know Matt.
Yeah.
Matt Cross.
Whoa.
Well, we weren't gonna drop his name and break his anonymity, but you just did that. Hey, bud, what's going on, Matt? What kinds of form of meditation do you take practice in, and what does that look like, Lulu?
Oh, goodness. This is the worst question for me
I know.
because that is something that I really
Talk about we'll talk about what you do or attempt to do.
Well, so I want to say when I first got sober and I was connected into, I did like 7.5 months of New Way and stuff. Like my meditation was on point then, and now I'm kind of wrapped up in my own life, my busy work schedule. That meditation just doesn't happen, and I think I experienced like the backlash of that because I have a tendency to be a pretty high-strung person. And back then I was pretty self-centered and like I was able to stay calmer. And meditation keeps coming back up. Eventually I should just do it since it keeps getting brought up in my life all the time. It's like signs, like just fucking meditate. And it's like I avoid doing it. I don't know what it is, but I used to love it. Like it
Dun,
used to
dun,
really.
dun.
Don't look at me like that. It used to really balance me out. So.
What drove you away? Why, if it used to work, what occurred? Why?
Because we're crazy like that. Life happened.
Life happens.
What have you sat and thought about it? Really? Like if it brought you some type of solution.
No, literally, I've thought about it. Like, there's been times, like, at nighttime where I'm like, like, this would be the perfect time to just, like, meditate and center myself, and then I just don't do it. And I'm just being honest.
No, and that's all you can do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's understandable.
Jay,
So,
what kinds of forms of meditation do you take practice in, and what does that look like?
well, I used to do a lot of TM,
What is that?
transcendental meditation.
Well,
Is that
Like,
that's
what is
you
that?
taught me, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I've heard it millions of times. What is that?
Basically, what it is you're given a 3-syllable word, which they call a mantra, and you sit and quietly just repeat it over and over in your head.
So like the town Ogilvy.
There's more to it than that. But
Okay.
you can't know the word because if it
What do you
was a
mean you
town
can't
like-
know the word?
Well, let's say I give you a word like water, right?
'Kay.
You say water, water.
Okay.
And pretty soon your mind would start thinking, what kind of water? You saw water? But I remember drinking water. I had this experience drought. You can't know the word. So it's just got to be. I've done a lot of different forms of meditation. All right, and all it is just you need a focal point for the mind till the focal point is gone. So mantra is something that's used for that.
See, I don't even know what that is.
A
So
mantra
that,
is the 3-syllable word.
yeah, that's what I mean. But
Yeah.
what I don't know what is mantra. That's what I mean.
That's
so
just the
that'd
goofy
be
name that's
So that'd be a good one.
for that. Yeah.
And you keep repeating it until. So what do you do now?
Tim.
I sit and contemplate. Well, basically, what I do is I sit and contemplate quite a bit, and that's basically a form of meditation. So, I mean, going into a trance when you're driving down the road
Isn't safe?
That's a form of meditation.
Yeah.
All right. And what you're listening to, what's coming through, is getting put into your mind, man, on a subconscious level. So.
You got
I
some-
mean, you just go into a trance real easy driving the road. That's a
Yeah,
I mean, people slip in and out of that road trance, and they don't even know they slipped in and out. I mean, I used to call it time traveling. You know what I mean?
It can
you
be
ever had the
dangerous.
experience where you're driving down the road? Yeah, and
And next thing
all
you
of a
know,
sudden
you're
go-
in Mankato when you were just in.
or you go through an intersection, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, you're checking review
Yeah.
just to make sure you didn't go through a red light.
Right. Next
like,
thing
where
you know,
was I?
yeah.
I can say I experience this road trance regularly, especially after a long shift.
So you do meditate?
Yes.
I guess. You know what? And that makes sense because I'm the most leveled after a double shift at work, and it must be my road trance.
See, I always chalk that up to like I'm so damn tired from a long day's work that I'm dozing off behind the wheel.
Right. driving.
Well,
in
for you it
silence.
is. For everyone else, it's meditation.
I mean, I woke up in a day. I have fell asleep in
No, but
sober.
there's lots of different forms of meditation. I've done a lot of weird stuff since I've been sober. A lot of weird stuff. And meditation,
All in the name of
Oh, and
recovery, though.
meditation.
I mean, all in the name of
I'm
recovery.
willing to try it.
Yeah, that's what.
I mean, it's to me, it's kind of like
I'll
back when I
never
was out on the
forget
street,
when you
right?
taught me
It's like,
how
no,
to
I'll
med-
give it a shot.
yeah.
I'll never forget when you taught me how to meditate. It changed my life, and then I whooped the ever-loving snot out of you at Madden.
Back to video games.
Right, Timmy. Before we get into more questions, I say we take a break while we have time, and then we'll do questions after. We're gonna debut a new segment, and now it's time for dun 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 dun, dun tidbits with Timmy, and here is Timmy.
Hey, audience, it's me, Timmy. This week's tidbits with Timmy. I want to say titbits with Timmy. They're gonna be corny and as corny as they come, but hey, it's what's played parts in my life. So here's a little tidbit. Don't live life like a rocking chair. Okay. You always feel like you're moving, but you're going nowhere. Okay? Someone said this to me and it made sense.
Okay, I'm
So
following you.
for me, I'm not telling anyone not to do it. What I'm saying for me, when someone said, Tim, you're moving crazy, dude, you're like a rocking chair, man. You're moving, but you're going nowhere. I literally was doing nothing with my life, but I was running like a chicken with his head cut off. Like that little thing I was told, like that tidbit has, well, it stuck with me, and this was back in deep in my using. So we're talking years later. That's all you're getting this week. We're starting low.
And that has been this week's tidbits with Timmy.
Holy
Back to our
shit.
regular scheduled show.
Whoa. All right. So we do have a question here, and we'll start this over to Jason. I would like to hear what Jason thinks about when people say relapse is a part of recovery. I had a good friend relapse, and that is not part of recovery, and many people kept saying that.
Well, it's a part of unrecovery, I would say.
Ooh. Whoa, unrecovery.
Yeah. Part of the what I view as recovery is God in the steps, man. That's it.
Okay. When someone says to you, like, and I don't know your story, Lulu. I don't know it. I don't know if it took you 5 years to figure out how to get 2 years together, or if you did it the first time. Like, relapse is a part of, it's a part of recovery. My story doesn't sound like that. I don't know what your story is like. What is that when someone says that? Where are you at on that?
Okay, so I guess I kind of do have an opinion on this because I don't think that necessarily when people say this, they're giving people permission to relapse. How I take this is, for me, I've had like 60 days here, 90 days here, 6 months there, and every single time that I've went back out, I've learned what exactly it was that led me to go back out and what I was missing or what I was doing wrong. This stint of sobriety, I hadn't even had a year up until this time. You know what I mean? So for me, when I hear relapse as part of recovery, I think I see it as more of the lessons that you learn to keep you from going back out again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because some people, like when they go back out, they really realize what the hell they were missing in their recovery, and it's like a learning step, and then they come back and they're able to make it much longer, be much more successful. You know what I mean? But I'm not giving anybody permission to go out and relapse, but I think it's definitely a learning experience.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at least that's what it was for me. This is actually the first time that I've been in recovery with meetings and all of this stuff. So this is all like a foreign language to me that I'm learning as
So you could say this is the first time you're really doing recovery.
Yeah.
All those other times it was just toes in the water or just not realizing what was ahead of you. Whatever the case was, this is the first time you're taking suggestions.
Yeah, I was going to be that person that was going to stay sober without meetings and without needing
Right.
a fellowship. And I was that for about 5 months of this sobriety, and then shit hit the fan. My relationship ended. My grandpa died all in the same weekend, and I
Right.
felt desperate. I
Life.
needed something, and that's when I started going to meetings, and it's saved me, to be
Right.
honest.
And you know what? That's your story. Like, I could throw in one of my future tidbits for Timmy, but you're talking about some people go back out and realize, shit, this is what
It's with Timmy.
what I say for Timmy, from
Yeah,
Timmy,
with Timmy.
whatever. That's semantics. So, like you're sharing about you go back out and didn't realize what recovery was doing for you. In a way, like I can see that as And this is kind of like Jason was saying, like it might be such a small example of it, but a broken window. I used to have power windows in a car I owned. The power switch broke, and I didn't have use of it. I had no AC, and I couldn't understand the pleasures of being able to roll the window down when you have no AC. Could you imagine right now, today, driving to and from work with an hour commute, your windows don't roll down, you have no AC? In the middle of winter, it wasn't bad. I didn't care. But until, it was something I took for granted, I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. Recovery, you get a taste of this, so I'm like, wow, this is who I really am. And then you go back out using it and realize, shit, I had some freedom over there in recovery. I don't know. It's one way of looking at it, I guess. I may have went down a whole entire road. We weren't trying to go down there. I don't know. Tad? Zoner? He's meditating.
I'm
He's
meditating.
meditating. I can do that with my stories sometimes.
No, right. I wanted to say something about something Jason said like 20 minutes ago, and so the time has passed, but I keep drifting back there.
Well,
And it's something that my one of my counselors or someone fucking told me. I feel I might be giving the wrong person credit, but you were talking about how you were self-aware, but there was no action behind it. And they had just told me, because if you know me and you've known me a while, me being self-aware and getting to the point where I identify my problems and what needs to happen was never the problem. It was fucking doing it. So I became very self-aware, but I never did anything about it, or
It's important. It's very important.
So what they told me, that it was my counselor actually. She looked at me and she said, "That's great. You are super self-aware, Ted, but self-awareness without action is just shallow insight." And
That's a good way to put it.
it changed my fucking perspective. I had to flip my head and be like, "Son of a bitch, she's right." And it's fine that I know that I have this fear, but what am I going to do with this fear? I know where it comes from. What am I going to do with it? Am I just going to sit there, or am I going to take corrective measures? Am I going to go make that amends? Am I going to act differently now? And, I was always really good at lip service. And you remember, you say that, but as much as I talk and I run my mouth now, I was better before, wasn't I, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, you can't not be if you hang around the fellowship for 20 some odd years.
Right. So the big
Right.
book talks about the show and the character and all that shit. That was me. That was me. And I no longer live that way anymore. And even the people who know me real well, I love recovery, but and it's not that I get sick of people. If you go to meetings with me, I don't talk a lot. And people try and goat me into talking because I have to talk a lot other places. So when I go to meetings where no one knows me, I'll talk about the subject. I'll talk more. But like you're thinking about it. When's the last time I talked in our meeting? Long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, you guys tricked me into telling my story once. And that's one of two times I've told my story since I've been clean. My story, my whole story. Usually I just talk about the clean part. And you guys didn't trick me. You guys asked me to speak, and I ended up sitting down and telling my story because I felt comfortable because it was my people. And, but, so I don't know. And that's not how it used to be. Before I was starting to get paid to tell my story, which I was telling a fictional version of it. and it sounded good. But, I knew all the shit, and I had I had the books memorized and all that shit, but a friend, and I will name drop because he was up here speaking, and he don't care. His name's Romney. And remember,
I do remember Romney.
Well, I had a deal with him because he called me out when I got my fucking 9 months, and he was absolutely right. He's like, fucking everything. And he pointed to my head. He's like, but you're not living it. Your heart is blocked. I don't know what it is. And, he called me out in front of a bunch of people, and I held the resentment against him for a long time. He got in a motorcycle accident, and I didn't know if he was ever going to remember me, but he came to the Ride for Recovery, and I walked right up to him, and he fucking stood up, threw what he had in his head. He was like, Dad! And I was like, dude, I didn't know if you were going to remember me. I actually got your number and was going to call you, and then I didn't. After that, he's like, you don't bug me. We're friends. And I talked to him, and I asked him if he remembered that, and he said, I do, actually. It's maybe this conversation that I'll forget. But things are getting better, and I wanted.
Yeah, he is. He's doing real good in recovery. He is. He just got his. Yeah, he's doing really
got
good.
the opportunity to tell him that he was absolutely right, and he said, "Well, I've actually heard about you. I've asked." And I don't know. It was just crazy. He had my number.
After you had that interaction with him, did that still bug you?
No.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Well, and I was no longer overly worried about him too, because and I don't think that it was. Here's something. I don't know that it was that I was actually worried. I was worried to him for a degree, but I was worried I wasn't going to get to make my amends to him.
Now is that All right. No. Yep. Okay.
And well, me and him kind of talking about that, and he was like, it's human nature. I mean, I don't know. We talked about it, but I don't know.
He's a big fixture in Narcotics Anonymous.
Oh yeah,
very big.
Yeah. I love that dude.
Yeah.
That dude had
He's
my
kicking
number,
ass.
and he was absolutely right about me. And until
Well, who wants to really hear some hard truths about us when we're not ready to hear some hard truths?
right,
Not me.
Like Jason shared a lot of good truths tonight, some deep ones, and went into some great detail. Like anyone listening, if you're open to hearing a suggestion, and he wasn't giving suggestions, but things of that nature, like when I hear someone speaking that's pretty firm on their, let's say, beliefs, and you see they're happy, that's what I was taught to gravitate to. Whether I see it or not, you find someone in this program who's doing the work, seems happy. What have you got to lose? Like you'll grab onto someone who's speaking their truths, what's worked for them. For the time being, I'll take it. We have another great question that came in. Lulu, what kind of things do you do when you get stuck in your head?
I was going to ask you that.
Okay,
Lulu,
forget
what kind
that.
of things-
Forget that. Tad, do you have a question for Lulu?
What kind of things do you do when you get stuck in your head, Miss Lulu?
So I do several different things. So a big part of me is either finding a way to express it or finding a way to distract from it, depending on what it is. I am also a video game player. Just got my diamond camo on my submachine guns in Cold War today. Okay, thanks. Anyway, so I had to throw that
Do you
out there.
Twitch?
Damn, I'm proud.
Do you Twitch?
Oh, hell no, I don't.
Is this where
So you're old school like me. You don't share that shit with people.
10-year-olds cry on Call of Duty. That's all I do.
Did you say 10-year-olds?
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. For
Call me when you're making 14-year-olds cry.
Hey,
Okay.
I'm proud of you.
Anyways, or otherwise, I love listening to music. There's some bands that have helped me through some of the darkest times in my life that I love
Right.
to listen to, and I can always resort back to.
Music.
Yeah, and so when we were talking about meditating, this popped into my head because last year, all summer, I used to take kickboxing classes, and that was the most therapeutic thing I was like ever doing for myself. Everything that I was holding on to was laying out on that bag. And
Why aren't you doing it again?
Well,
You were calmer then too.
I wasn't I? There was like a different me. Like
This
I
is
was-
someone not
That's when
calling,
that was like
co-signing.
in that brief
Yeah.
period, we were best friends.
I know that brief period.
See, that's what I need in my life is people who will do this shit. Is well, Lulu, why aren't you back in it? If it was doing so well for you, why aren't you doing it?
Well, part of it is because the kickboxing gyms are expensive, and I just don't have any time for them. But I'm sure if I wanted to, I can make time.
Yes.
So honestly, it's something that I actually have the memory pictures popping up on my memories on Facebook lately, and so I've actually thought about this recently that I want to get back into it. And I will eventually. I will get back there.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you did kickboxing, did you make sounds like hi-ya and stuff?
I just want to say the most aggressive yet therapeutic sounds came out of my mouth. Doing
Okay.
that. Yeah.
So like that's a good thing and a bad thing of Facebook, like that memories thing, like that's good. It brings up something like your kickboxing. But then when I see pictures of like 8 years ago that pop up,
You're like,
yeah, all whacked out.
you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And something I really thought was so important
You know
to post, like, whoa.
So what's beautiful for me is that I've only had this Facebook since I've been sober because
Same.
the cops took my last phone. So,
Same.
so
Same
all my
thing happened to
memories
me.
are since I've been sober.
I got one relapse in there, but on my Facebook, but it's Jason.
So
Question: what kind of things do you do when you get stuck in your head? Dun dun dun.
well, if I don't have anybody to work with, which is often, just thinking about how to be helpful to somebody else, you're not self-centered, automatically just thinking that you get relief.
Cut and dry.
Yeah.
So like this, we brought up meditation. This is a good thing about the show that we put on is how interactive it is. It's like Katie, and you know what? Thanks for checking in, Katie. I love you. But Matt and Kate, like they're posting different books and different things that have helped them with meditation. There's about 4 or 5 different book titles that have been put up here, but take advantage of the thread on here, and that's what we're doing this for. Is
Yeah.
the whole aspect of interaction is one of the key things, like the networking aspect, helping with people find meetings, or just we talk about a different way of living. Like this isn't where our stories were 20 years ago. So those things do make a difference.
I have a question.
Ted,
When you were doing all that stuff earlier, before when I was outside, before you hollered at me to come back in, did you talk about the Capone dinner at all?
you know what? Tomorrow at 5:00, I put a post up here about it, but at 5:00 at the Fridley Alano, they're doing you know what, Ted, let's talk about it.
So tomorrow at 5:00, they're putting on a special guest speaker. It's called the Capone dinner, and Kiwanis from Chicago is going to be there. He's part of TC Recovery, Metro Youth Diversity. This Capone, it's just, it's an Italian-themed dinner. It's going to be at the Fridley Alamo Club, which the address is 6279 University Avenue, Minneapolis 55432. It's actually Fridley, but, old cities go do that. Anyways, it's going to be an Italian buffet-style dinner, free, with desserts, beverage included. So it starts at 5. Go there and check it out. It's going to be a good time if you're looking for something to do. And I happen to know the wonderful lady that's cooking, and ladies, a couple of them. It's going to be great, dude. If I didn't have to work, I would be there. I'm a little, I'm a little upset, but I'll get over it. Hopefully,
You'll be fine. It'll work out.
I know.
I just wanted to give a shout out, Ryan R. Thanks for being on the show and listening and putting on some posts. And Brenda, I'm glad you're here and happy birthday. Everyone, if we don't say your name, like Chris and a lot of people have been checking in, and we just really appreciate the support from every angle. At 2218 here, this club, I was sharing about it right away, but the club's been here. It's the world's longest running Alano. It's always got something going on. There's room for volunteering. If you're able to donate, the club could really use some donations.
Right now, we need volunteers.
Volunteers
Hard.
more. Yeah. Oh, yes, you're right. We do.
We need
Empty
we need
desks,
people at the
like-
desk.
Yeah.
Fridays, you know what? And my number's up there. Get a hold of me and give me your info, or come in and fill out an app. We just got
right
a new
there.
front
Yeah.
desk, a
They're-
coordinator,
yeah.
and she'll get in touch with you once I get your number. But like, we're pulling people that are busy. Like,
And the club's
we need
got
help.
banging AC.
Yeah.
Period.
We need.
We're
help.
shivering down here.
So if you're able to help, if you're
It's
able
true.
to help and come cover the front desk for a night, even temporarily, that's great.
yeah,
But
we
if you're
could use
able-
the help.
But if you're able to take a day, once a week, fan freaking tastic. So I will re-put my number and my email address down. So and I'm Tad, by the way, Tad Ackerman, and so that will just get a hold of me.
Yeah, we could use the volunteers definitely, and donations if you're able to. Gratitude Cafe here at 2218 Fridays. Come down here, $5. You're going to be eating like a king. I share about it every week. It's an entree, it's a dessert, it's a coffee, it's a water, and it's made with some love. For $5, you're getting filled up. So take advantage of the podcast, take advantage of the club, take advantage of the food. We enjoy what 2218 does for the community and for our recovery. It's the shit.
Right.
I just wanted to do a little plug-in.
Yeah, and you know what, dude? Feel free to try. There's lots of shit going on, so I just want
Yes.
to encourage everyone, like Pig was last weekend. Check out Sober Fun Events page.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, Joel, he started that, but that has all sorts of crap in it. It's on Facebook, but just Google sober stuff.
Volleyball, is that for every Friday night? There's
Every
bowling
Friday night
every
at
Thursday.
Amway.
Yeah, there's so much.
Blainbrook. So just try stuff, even if it's not something you normally would do. Because early in my recovery, I've tried some cool shit that I would have never freaking done if it wasn't for people encouraging me or going. I went axe throwing, and everyone was good at it. Not that long ago, everyone was good at it except for me. I mean, I don't know if it had to do with had a separated shoulder, but whatever.
Excuses.
Everyone was good at it except for me, so that was fun. But you know, the girls killed the guys. They won.
Yeah, I
They
heard.
won. But those were all practice. The game that actually mattered, that we were playing for all the marbles, we won, and I took the kill shot. So watching the clutch, and you know.
But that's the thing. Like we talk about this in recovery, you get into these meetings, you start meeting people because, like, I know some people right now who are.
You might find your hobby that
Yeah,
you're missing your
that's
whole
exactly
life.
it. Like-
it's, you might be on the desk with or on the deck with a sponsee brother, and all of a sudden you're doing a podcast every Friday
Yeah.
night. You never know what the hell's gonna happen.
It just that's the gifts of this recovery thing. Is I know it's hard to see it when you're stuck in the depths or the horrors of your addiction, or you're drunk and you can't figure it out, and you think, what am I gonna do? I have no other friends. My whole life revolves around this use thing. It's that leap you got to take, and I know it's hard sometimes when it's your head that you're sick, but that moment of clarity or lucidity, whatever it is, you got to take that leap. You got to get outside yourself because there is fun here. We connect, we meet new people, and like every one of my friends in life now is basically in recovery. I've got a handful of friends from before that I love, and they're there for me and they support me. But other than that, it's like my life's become recovery. I've ran into a couple friends who just got out of prison, and they're like, "Who are you, Tim?" Like, and that was a good thing to hear, because they weren't expecting,
Oh, they thought you were gonna be the plug.
no, something. I imagine. Who knows? All I know is it was a good interaction, and one of them is going to be part of the show very shortly here. So it's a good thing.
Do we want to do gratitude and then give it to them for a minute, or do we want to give it to them? And
Yeah,
then,
we got 6 people here. We can spend a few minutes on gratitude.
and then we'll see where we're at for time, and then we'll talk about whatever. after.
Flip that mic on over there, toots.
Yeah, Elena, what are you grateful for today, Elena?
Yeah, Elena, because you're
Because
so
you're the
quiet.
best.
You're the best.
No, I'm not.
Come on, Khaled. We
You're
the best.
You're the best Elena here.
You're the best Elena here.
I'm the only, there's only room.
All right, how about this? Share about what you're grateful for, babe. Da.
I'm grateful it's the weekend. I tell you that all the time.
It's the weekend, baby.
I work on the weekend. I'm grateful it's the weekend. I'm grateful that I'm sober today.
Hell yeah.
Don't sound so excited.
Stop it.
Uh,
I'm tired. I'm grateful. That's all that matters. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for everything.
What's your friend's name again?
My friend is Ken.
that's Ken.
Ken. Hi, Ken.
Ken.
He might be a future guest here too.
Yes.
Sounds like it. What are you grateful for today, Ken?
I'm grateful for a lot. I've had a lot of things happen last week.
Share about it.
Well, for the grace of God and the fellowships in these rooms, I haven't found it necessary to use or drink since September 1st, 2017.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so I'm grateful to be able to say that through what's gone on. Last Friday, let me start over. About a month ago, I had a really good paying career job that it was keeping me spiritually unfit. So I decided to step away from that because it was keeping me from my recovery. And it was a tough decision because it was very financially stable, more than I ever could imagine. And then by doing so, recently I took on another job, and my insurance lapsed in there, and I was not aware of that. So last Saturday morning, I had a friend come over to my house. I was curled over on my living room floor and couldn't get up. Found myself in emergency surgery, and I had 4 feet of my innards taken out.
Woozers.
I almost died on operating day.
Well, I'm glad you didn't die.
Well, hell yeah.
So from probably Saturday, 9 o'clock in the morning till Monday at about 2:30 in the a.m., it was very I didn't even know if I was going to live.
Wow,
And,
that's scary.
I was able to stay sober through it all.
Yeah,
And,
wow.
during that, I was able, in the hospital, once I got out of surgery and came to, I looked over, and my recovery comes with a pretty cool story of my daughter didn't know who I was for 19 years. And we had a great relationship, and she was there. It's awesome.
Nice.
And great friends.
What was
that have stepped out of the woodwork to make sure that I'm doing well. And, you know, I don't know when I'm going back to work. I got 42 staples in my stomach right now. And, I don't know when I'm going back to work. I don't know what my future is, but I do know that no matter what happens, I got great people on my side, and as long as I'm gonna get sober, that's all of it. I wouldn't have it anyways if I wasn't sober. It'd be gone in a minute.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Save some of this because I'm already hearing a bunch we got to talk about on the show. I'm already hearing a bunch.
Do you have a guest host next week?
You know what?
Do you want to?
What do you got going on next week? Oh, is that your week?
No, I'm just here
We're-
with you.
Yeah. Do you
Oh,
want?
yeah,
Do you
we're
want
putting you on the
to be
spot.
me next week?
There you go.
Apparently I'm coming down to.
There we go.
There you go. Ken's our special
Ken's our
guest host
special
next
guest host next week.
week. Sweet.
Got you locked in, Elena. Lock it in. See how that works? Come on down. That's
Thank you
how it
very
works.
much, Ken.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing, Ken. And I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, we're super glad that you're here.
Things happen for reasons.
Tim, what are you grateful for?
Shit. No, not poop. I'm not glad. I mean,
You're a fecal phelac.
no, I'm grateful for my family. I've got family that's every week I talk about it, and every week it's from the heart because I love my family. They've been there for me no matter what. I put them through hell and back, and they don't have to deal with nothing, and they choose to deal with my shit on a daily, whether I'm spiritually fit or not. They're there for me, and there's just nothing I can do but do this whole living amends thing. Staying clean and sober, part of my story is that living amends. I learned I have to do this for myself, but once I was clear-headed enough to know what comes with that, I get to also now say I do this for my family as well. But don't get it confused. I understand this is for me first and foremost. My family, man, it's like we talk about these building blocks and like, you know, the mortar and the, you know, a three-legged chair and bop, 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 bop. My family is part of that. You know, I have to make them part of my foundation. That's part of who I am today.
Hell yeah.
So I think I'm going to leave it with my family. Like, I'm grateful for that. And you know what? I'm also going to say this. I'm grateful for having people in my life that I'm able to dump my shit on. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yeah, that's
So, you know,
important.
with that, I'm also going to follow it up with, Tad, what
is
are you
Jason grateful for?
You shithead. Jason, what are you grateful for?
You know, I'm grateful you guys asked me to come down here this evening.
I'm grateful you remembered.
Yeah, me too.
You know, you
Me
walked.
too.
I didn't realize what you had going on. You're out camping with your family this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
So you had to walk away to come sit in some AC. Oh, but
Well,
do
it's-
you have a AC in your? What do you have, like an ice castle? You
Yeah,
said
yeah, there's
So
AC,
he's
yeah.
got a luxury ass.
Is
He's
that thing just pimp?
yes,
Yeah,
it's an ice castle, bro.
It's nice.
So you're camping in
And
style.
you know, ultimately, above and beyond anything, you know, it sounds like a broken record, but I'm grateful that God is real, and I'm grateful that I did the stuff I didn't want to do, and that I continue to do the stuff I didn't want to do. I live a blessed life today. You know, I'm not worried. Like, I remember, I mean, back when I was a creature, man. And
Gollum.
if I had $40 in my pocket, I was living large.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know. Think about that.
No, and I'm not looking over my shoulder anymore.
Right. You're
And
not
I'm
surviving. You're living and
Right.
enjoying life.
Right. Big
Exactly.
difference.
I'm
Big
not in
difference.
survival mode, and I'm glad. I'm just so grateful for God. You know, I don't. I mean, without God, nothing in my life would be what it is now. And you know, the family stuff you bring up, man. When I sit back, like my family, I got 3 little kids running around. You know what I mean? And I didn't have kids till I got well. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when I come home, like, they are super excited to see me when I come home from work, and my kids just adore me. You know,
That's
and
got to be a great feeling.
it is a great feeling. And my wife,
How is Deb, by the way?
she's fantastic.
Tell her I said hi.
Will do. I mean, she, you know,
She
she's
makes the best everything.
if I were to try to make a perfect wife, you know what I mean? I create this fantasy in my head, and I want her to be
He's
there
been
to
saying
sell
this
us
since
away.
I know him too.
There's some husbands
Dude,
listening to the show like
I
this
am-
kiss ass.
No, he's
no,
being
I
for
know.
real though.
I
You should-
know.
Chad.
I know.
Yeah,
Chad
he's being
can
for
vouch
real.
for me. Like, this chick is not like she is not the norm.
Dude, she
And
makes
how I
homemade
ended
fucking
up with
ice
her-
cream, everything.
Oh,
I have
Yeah.
no idea what she sees in a person like me. I really don't. And I am truly grateful for family, man.
Right, right.
That is huge.
Jason,
Right.
Jason, I absolutely am right there with you. I have no idea what she says to you either.
Asshole.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So, with that, Lulu, what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for a lot of things. If I had to pick one to talk about, I am grateful for a stable mental health because for years that was not a thing.
Hell
I
yeah.
I spent extensive time growing up and as a teenager in mental health institutions and used to always just be trying to kill or hurt myself, and that's not a part of my story
It's cool.
anymore. So the ability to get out of bed every day, even if I am in a funk like I talked about, I'm getting the fuck out of bed
Atta girl.
every day.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. Thank
Well, then let's just move right on. Before I say anything else and
I
tell
wanted you to skip me like we did you a couple times.
Tad, what are you grateful for, buddy?
I ain't grateful for shit. No.
You're grateful for shit too?
yeah. Shit buddies.
why am I not surprised?
Shit, buddies.
Oh my god. So,
Wow.
that was to buy time so I could think of what I was grateful. That's really what that always is. But then I laugh and I get more combobulated in my head.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, I'm grateful that I have positive relationships and I have lots of people. And when things happen, I'm gonna bring Lulu into this, such as with like Lulu and I don't know, we're very similar types of people, is how she's described it, right?
I would say the same thing.
So like things happened with me and Lulu and we got out of hand and whatever a couple times. I was finally able to talk to her and like it took some ego swallowing on both our parts.
Yeah, it did.
I was here ready to be a fucking dick to her, and Tim knows that. And I came up and she gave me a hug and was like, I'm
180'd
so
your
glad you're here. And she had love in her eyes and was like a great person. I was like, oh, fuck. Well,
Yeah.
now I'm the piece of shit, and I got to be nice to her. And then we've, I don't know, I'm grateful for things like that because then I was able to move past and realize that, you know, it's whatever, dude. Ooh, and I are friends, and it was so
Oh, Chris.
and we, you know, like I'm grateful for moments like that. I was able to make amends, and like we had a really good conversation the other night just about stuff, and I've been able to do that. Like I'm grateful I have people like Jason I can call if I think I am spiritually in trouble. I'm grateful for my relationship with you. I'm grateful that I get to have relationships because my relationships, I didn't have real relationships.
No.
I used people or was used by
Acquaintances, yeah.
people, or you know was being a leech. You know how it is, and that's not how it is anymore. And you know, there's people who come and go in your life, and there's people who try, and I don't know. I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the wonderful people in my life, like I said, and that is where I'm at. Do we want to go right into buzzer beaters or
No, not yet. I have a few things I want to
good.
talk about real quick here, Joan on. Pappy, Tom, thank you. It didn't show me you were on. Another good podcast. Thank you for the support. Your mom, she's
Tim.
very grateful for you. She's saying, Lulu, she made it clear. We're all grateful for family.
I'm grateful for Lulu.
Kim, we're grateful for you as well. We're grateful for our audience. Like,
Hell yeah.
we don't go
love
out.
you guys.
Yeah, hell yeah. You guys make our show. Like,
This is why we do this show for you guys.
yeah, and we didn't talk about it earlier, and we usually do go into that about, you know, give us some ideas. Whatever you guys
Yeah.
you guys want to hear. If you
Hit
guys,
us up.
yeah, it's that easy. This show is your show. Like, we're just that conduit where we try to
can't
be.
change and grow with you guys and give you guys what you need if you guys aren't telling us what you need.
Yeah, it's something else, but
If you're gonna leave it up to me and Timmy, you know,
you're gonna, yeah, it's gonna be dangerous.
right?
Before the buzzer beater ending, I did want to bring up kind of a grateful thing. There's a guy I spoke with this week. He just went on a 4,000 mile bike ride and motorcycle ride.
Oh, I thought you okay.
Yeah, no, not that bike ride. but he had some stories throughout, and I wasn't following him along the way. I wasn't even friends with him on Facebook at the time, but he came back and he told me some stories that it moved me. Like there's just the passion he had about telling them, and it's something I want to do something like this. I got a nice motorcycle now. I went and got an upgrade and something I can go across the country on. But he put on like 3,000 miles, then met his wife out in Montana, and then they drove home the rest of the way together. But he did some things along the way and just got outside himself. He made sure to, let there be no boundaries on the interactions he was having along the way. Speak with strangers, get to know people, sceneries, this, that, and he came out the other side with some life experiences that I'm almost envious of, but I'm just grateful that I got to be part of hearing some of that stuff. And in lieu of that, like, it just put me in a place for a few days after that where I had an interaction with someone here just like 2 nights ago at the local grocery store that came out of hearing someone else's story, just forgetting. Sometimes, this program, and that's what this is, it's kind of a pumping up this program thing, speech I'm on, but being around someone who's just sharing where they're at in their recovery and what they're doing in their recovery, it put me in a place to be able to get outside myself enough to do something I normally wouldn't do, and I was able to impact someone else's life in a positive. And I think we were talking about it earlier in the show, but there's nothing for me to gain out of that. But knowing at the end of the day, I would feel better about myself for doing this, but help someone immensely. I don't know how else to word it, because I'm not here to I could pat myself on the back quite a bit for what I did, but more or less it was to explain that because of someone else's interactions, I was able to get outside myself and do something that bettered someone else for just the reason to do it, not for a reaction. Me telling it might sound as though I'm doing that, but it's to let people know, like be open, be willing, listen to someone else's story and what they're going through, and try to take from that what you believe could help yourself along your own journey. I'm at a point in my recovery where I can do that. So this all goes with the whole gratitude thing. I just didn't want to take up that much time earlier and cut you guys off. So, buzz my beater, Tad.
So,
Explain
My
to
sister-
Lulu what that is, I think. Or,
I will.
Go
My sister says hi.
hi.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Anyways, I just want to give T's and P's, that's thoughts and prayers, by the way, out to my sister. She lost a friend and she's struggling. So, at any rate, a buzzer beater is, in basketball, when they shoot the basket at the end and they make it and they win the game, that's a buzzer beater. So
We're
but
doing
on
that in forms of-
but in this show, a buzzer beater is just a quick question with a quick answer. And that's how we end every
No
show.
thinking about it. No passing.
Yep. So, and I'm not going to put any restraints on this other than it can't be out now. So, what is a show or movie that you are looking forward to coming out? So, you couldn't say Space Jam because that's already out. So, something that's coming out.
And it doesn't have to be a real movie
No,
or a
it's,
real TV show.
it's supposed to be, but I guess you can make up your own
Well,
stuff,
yeah.
because you don't go by rules.
No. That's
Isn't-
what I mean.
Isn't there a Corella movie coming out?
There you go. Yeah,
It's already out,
They
but
shelved.
we'll
No, I
accept it.
thought
We'll
they
accept
shelved it before COVID
No, it's on Disney
with Emma,
Plus.
whatever playing.
Something Stone, maybe?
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus Premium, but in like 4 days or 5 days, it comes to regular Disney
Okay.
Plus.
Well, she thought it wasn't out yet, so that
Yep,
counts.
yep.
Because I don't have Disney Plus. I finished The Mandalorian. What's the point?
I'll bring my PlayStation and we'll watch it.
I don't know.
And
anything
Elena's
about
going to
that.
pass because she doesn't watch anything.
Yeah, she's not. There she goes.
I don't watch TV. I watch Netflix.
Okay, so what are you waiting for to come out? What next season of what?
Yeah.
Season of.
Twilight. No.
Oh, no.
There we go. See
The
it?
next season of the new Netflix series, Sweet Tooth. Oh, that is. Such
Is that
a
good?
show.
Sweet Tooth. What's?
Yeah, I wanted to check it out.
Such
Is
a
it really
good
that
show.
good?
You
What?
guys
It's
have to
about eating food.
No.
There's a pandemic. Hope, get it? Pandemic. There's a pandemic, and all the kids that are born.
Oh, half
Animal.
animals. I saw the promo for that shit.
So good.
All right, good enough. Look at her. You can't wipe the grin off her face. Ken, what are you waiting for to come out, Ken? No Googling.
Googling. Tad's cheating.
I'm talking to my sister.
On TV, but I watch some Netflix, I guess. So,
And chill.
I don't know. I guess there's a show on there I've been watching. It's Atypical. It's about a kid in the spectrum.
Oh yeah, with what's his name? Michael Rapaport.
Yeah.
I just know from listening to this Stern and they rap on him. Good one. Okay, so it is time for Jason.
Yeah. Jason.
I want to see Morbius. I don't know
Oh,
whatever
Morbius.
happened to that, or if it's
Is that
coming
Eddie
out
Murphy?
now. Like, there's
No,
no,
no.
release date on that.
There
And
isn't.
I don't know.
It's still going to
what
be
happened to
made.
that,
What is
but
it?
Morbius.
I thought it was already done.
It is. It's
What
just in
happened to
post production.
it?
I don't know. They're waiting for a better time to come out for it.
This is nuts, man. I want to see that movie.
So
Tim.
in
no.
in Spider-Man,
I want to hear about this. What is it?
Morbius is
Lay
a
it down,
vampire
Tad.
in the Marvel universe, and Spider-Man, when he has his powers, they start breaking down, and he becomes a spider. And they're trying to develop a cure. Someone steals the power, gets it, and as a result of trying to fuck around with that, he becomes a vampire.
Oh,
And that's Morbius.
Far-fetched. I see why they haven't came out with it yet.
Are you attacking the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
1,000%. Yes.
So you now have the wrath of Disney and every Marvel fan. Good luck.
Oh, Disney. Oh, boy. I'm really screwed. I'm Jewish.
Right.
All right.
Good
Hey,
luck.
Tad. What are you waiting to come out? What's your deal? What do you can't wait for?
The Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
yep, the Batman, and there was another one.
The Robin? Oh.
Fuck, what was the other one? It's coming out in a while. It's
Get it?
Oh, Flashpoint. Yeah,
What's Flashpoint?
the Flash.
That's
Oh,
gonna be.
I
Where he
just
goes
saw a
back
promo.
in
I saw
time.
it. Yep. Like the origin story.
No, but
Oh.
sure, we'll go with that, Tim.
Hey,
Good
just
job.
let me act like I know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
good-
about.
good
for
job,
once.
Timmy.
All right, score.
X for effort.
Thanks for effort. We were just talking to a guy with 41 years who's going to come on our show.
I was gonna say what you said to him yesterday. I
Yeah,
asked
no,
him
that's
if
not
he knew
talking-
Bill and Bob, and Tim goes, he was their fucking sponsor. And the guy goes, I'm out of here now. Thanks, boys.
Yeah, I love busting Ken's butt.
Oh, it was
He's a good dude. He's been around forever. So what I'm waiting to come out is Chappelle season 3.
Oh fuck, I forgot about that. That's awesome.
I don't know if they are coming, but he needs to.
He got his name back.
Did he get the rights? He owns his
the
name.
He got his name.
Good.
He was all on social media, like I got my name back.
Well, there's some going on with him too. There's some move, something where it's I don't know if it's short talking, some podcast, something with him. But The Bachelor, LOL.
That's what you're waiting. That's
No,
really-
that's what Lulu's mama's waiting for.
Oh, I thought that was what
She's
you
been
were.
watching that show my entire life. Religiously.
I have buddies who bet on The Bachelor. Like they make financial wagers, and there's also
Yeah, there's dudes who like The Bachelor.
not dream. What's that called? What are they? Fantasy Bachelor. They play.
What?
Yeah, dude. Fantasy ex housewife, whatever. So yeah, Chappelle season
That is
4,
crazy.
3, whatever. So I don't know. Are we ready?
You got any final words, you two?
Yeah. Speak on it.
I don't. You got anything to do?
Yeah, Lulu.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for having me, even though it was very sudden.
Yeah.
I
Thanks for
just-
stepping up, Lulu.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Half-hour notice. Thank you.
This means a lot.
It means a lot to be asked because I would just be at home isolating.
And listening to our show.
And yeah,
Can't believe none of our guests support us.
I don't have the attention span
I've
for a
listened to it.
podcast.
Do you know what I do?
You don't have to listen to it all at once.
Lulu. You just put it on and you mute and you play your game. That's how I listen to podcasts.
So you don't listen to podcasts.
You have a lot of faith in my multitasking abilities.
I have
just
ADHD.
wanna
I
say
do
that.
listen to podcasts.
You said you hit mute. Oh, you mean mute on the video game?
Yes.
Okay.
A no sound video game.
Yeah, you're right. 10-year-olds. Like I said, call me when you're whooping on 14-year-olds. I'll show you a thing or two.
Okay, well, that's my new goal in life.
Fantasy Island. Yeah, I've heard about the Fantasy Island coming. People are
Anyway.
still putting up. All right. Go.
All right.
You want to talk ADD? Check out that squirrel.
Right. Anyways, hey, I want to thank everyone. We had a great show. Who's on the show next week, boss?
We got Ken, our new person, and
Special guest host.
our special guest
Yeah.
host.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then who are our guests?
Yeah, I was asking you.
Well, I think Ken's going to be a guest.
No, I thought he was a special guest host.
No, I got our guest host.
Oh, okay.
I already
He's
got
gonna
the
be a
guest
guest.
host. So what we might have is Ken's friend and
So the guy that says he's going to be on there, I don't think he's going to be on there. So we have no one.
No, I got it covered like a
Oh,
rubber.
okay.
Covered like a
That's why I
rubber.
was asking you, but you made
Covered like a rubber.
you made me
Yeah.
sound pretty uncertain.
No, you're good. Ken is one of our special new guests as of tonight, and then I've got a special guest host and a third chair being filled.
Oh, okay. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great show next week.
Yeah.
Have fun. I'll be at SmackDown.
Honestly, I believe if Rob doesn't leave, Rob's gonna be back on our show again next week. I believe it's been a while, and he's feeling a certain way about not being asked for a while.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
He told me to
and I'll
calm
put
down
this
last
right out on air that he's feeling a certain way that he
yeah.
has because we had him on so much.
He told me to calm down.
I told him he got to stop making the fart noises.
well, dude,
and
he got
doing all this
you know
weird
what?
shit.
You know what it is? You know what it is? You know what it is? Oh,
What?
and I'm probably going to get punched for saying this live on air. He's all booed up and he's busy.
Oh, Robbie, eye candy, Robbie buns. Okay.
Oh my god, I'm going to pay for that.
Yeah, more than likely, because I'll remind him of listening to the last 2 minutes of the show. All right, hey, you guys, thank you.
Yep.
Lulu, thanks for stepping up. Thank you for leaving your family to come be on the show tonight. Ken, glad you were in studio tonight. And Elena, every time, thank you for what you do. Take
Hey,
us home.
Yeah, this is Tad and Tim, and we just want to thank everyone for listening to this.
Not
Hey,
alone.
man, I just want to let you know that you are loved. You're
Yes.
not alone. You are enough. Hey, no matter what you're doing and what you're going through, don't give up.
Never.
Tim and I are here for you. Reach out to us if you want
Yes.
to. If we don't have the answers or don't know,
We'll
what
find
to
you
do,
the
we'll
answers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And be kind to each other, and we love all of you. And with that, have a great night and a great weekend.
Kill it.
See you next Friday, guys.
See you next Friday. Kill the show. Kill.